And here we go. We finally got to see a Browns practice, something outside of just the rookies. About 55 players in attendance at Browns OTAs on Wednesday, mostly the key players on the defensive side of the ball. So we're going to throw out some takeaways here on a quick little recap of what we saw at OTAs. Mary Kay, give us our first takeaway from today.
You know, my biggest takeaway from the whole thing was the fact that Myles Garrett showed up and Denzel Ward showed up. These are your two biggest name defenders, and they came to a workout, a week of workouts, OTAs, voluntary, that they don't need to be at. They don't have to be here. They could be wherever they want to be working out. But they came, they showed up, and they did it for the reason of galvanizing this defense, for welcoming in those new guys, and for getting this defense that is basically completely overhauled off on the right foot. And just that whole concept of leadership is really what stood out to me today. Not just those two guys, but even a guy like Anthony Walker. As I was listening to him talk and doing some takeaways, just the way he talked about Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah and what he's going to need to do to acclimate to the NFL. Just all those little nuances of things that you have to learn when you're making that jump from college to the NFL. He's going to be there for JOK to help him with that. And I feel like this team now has sort of a hierarchy. They've got that veteran leadership now, like really good, strong, solid, vocal leaders. Myles has become a very vocal leader. Denzel has never been necessarily a vocal leader, but I think he's stepping up and taking younger guys under his wing. Then you've got, as I mentioned, Anthony Walker, who will be doing this in the linebacker room. So what I'm seeing is just unbelievable leadership on this defense, and I think they are going to come together very, very quickly because of it.
Okay, Scott, give us takeaway number 2.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Demetric Felton. When we all got there, I think one of the first things everybody noticed is that he's overworking out with the wide receivers today. And although he had that background at UCLA, Kevin Stefanski mentioned he's going to start with the running backs, and he considered him a running back, but he's been going to different meetings and really taking advantage of his versatility. And we started to see that today on the field. And I think they only had 2 other receivers there, right? They had Jamarcus Bradley and Alexander Hollins. And I think those guys have like maybe 10 career catches, less than 10 catches between them. So he wasn't out there with like, Odell and Jarvis, obviously. But when you watched him run routes, there was a noticeable difference between him and the other guys who were actual receivers. I mean, just the quickness and how fluid he was moving. And he just, you watched him and you thought, okay, it made sense that he focused on being a receiver at the Senior Bowl. And he made a nice catch when they were doing, full team drills. And again, it wasn't full speed, but just seeing him as a receiver and seeing him run through those drills, you understand, all right, yeah, this guy could be a matchup problem. That's why they drafted him. And, you're going to see him trying to catch passes, at least in the preseason. We don't know what role he's going to end up having once the regular season begins, but those preseason games, you're going to see him being used and spread out. And one of the things that watching him made me think of is, I think it was 2 years ago when Kareem Hunt finally showed up and came back from the injury at camp, and they had the one-on-one drills against linebackers and the safeties, those receiving drills, and Kareem, nobody could keep up with him. It was just one great move, and just he was wide open the whole time. And I just think Felton has the ability to kind of have that kind of drill when they're doing that once everybody gets here, whether it's mini camp or training camp or whatever. He's going to be that kind of matchup nightmare for whoever they're putting across from him. So he's going to be fun to watch. And today, I think, was just a little taste of what he can do.
Okay, my takeaway, I'm going to talk about linebackers. We love to talk about linebackers here on this podcast. But it did kind of strike me today that there's a really interesting numbers game playing out at the linebacker position. And it's way too early to project any 53-man rosters, even though we're never shy to do that. So Anthony Walker, I feel like, and I wrote this in my observations, I feel like he's kind of the hub of that linebacking core, right? He was brought in, he's likely going to end up as the Mike, unless somebody, I suppose he could get beaten out. There's a world where he could get beaten out, but it seems like he's going to end up as the Mike and kind of be in that BJ Goodson role from a year ago. Maybe wear the green sticker. We'll see. Maybe it's John Johnson. And then after that, I'm kind of trying to see where everybody fits. So like Jacob Phillips today, and again, not everyone was there, but Jacob Phillips was playing some Mike today. I think he's a guy that's really intriguing across at all three of those positions. We know about Owusu-Koramoah, how versatile he is. We haven't seen Tony Fields yet because he's dealing with a knee injury. Malcolm Smith was not there. I mean, I start listing these names and I'm just wondering like how it all kind of fits together. And it just struck me today that there's kind of a lot of guys there that they've got to sort through and figure out how they want to fit them.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I think ultimately they will end up being in, they're going to end up being in sub defenses a ton. And when they're in those sub defenses, largely they will have two linebackers on the field. And I just get the feeling that most of the time that's going to be Anthony Walker and JOK. JOK is, working at weak side. Tony Fields, when he gets back from, he had a left boot on today for his foot injury. He'll be back for training camp. But when he comes back, he'll also be at weak side. Some of the other guys, as you mentioned, will shift around to different positions. But I mean, like you said, Anthony Walker will replace BJ Goodson at Mike. And then when Sione Takitaki comes back, I think he's got a really good chance of being the front runner on the strong side when they're in base. But they have some flexibility. I just have a feeling that it's going to be Anthony and JOK a whole bunch when it comes to two linebackers.